It's been said that audio without video is radio, and that video without audio is just dead air. Today we're going to be talking about working with sound with your HDSLR footage in post. So, do you hear that bell ringing? It's time for HDSLR 101.
This episode is made possible in part by CPM Film Tools, your lightweight solution for caging the beast. ICANN, features you need, prices you want. LCD Viewfinder, the essential accessory for DSLR video. Lightcraft Workshop, the perfect tools to create the perfect image. Linco Lighting, professional lighting for photo and video. Blackbird Camera Stabilizer, the stabilizer designed to be easy to use with great performance.
Hi, this is Sean Bowers from nextwavedv.com. You know, half of your video is audio, and so if your audio isn't great, you're going to have a pretty lackluster video. In a previous episode, our sound episode, you went over options on how to capture sound, the best ways to capture it for HDSLR footage. We covered your mic on camera, which we don't recommend. You have like a small shotgun mic that you can put on the hot shoe of your camera and plug it directly in, which is a lot better than using your mic. But the best option is using either like a lavalier or using a shotgun mic where you can, as a total separate system where you can position it wherever you want to capture the best audio. Now when you do that, you're going to have a separate file because you're going to be recording on an SD card. So you're going to have a separate sound file and you're going to have your video file. And we're going to have to combine those in post and sync those. So I'm going to go over some of those, some tips and some of the issues that you have when doing that. So let's get started. In the previous episode, we showed you how to get your footage into Premiere and on your hard drive. Well, now that we have it in Premiere, we pulled it in, and we also need to pull in the audio so that we can sync everything up. One tip here that I wanted to show you before, especially if you're recording on another device like the Zoom H4n. So you can see the audio that I've recorded for these clips here. By opening, you see that it's mono. We only used one mic and one channel to record the audio. Really easy way to make this mono channel into stereo, not true stereo, but coming out of both sides of the speakers. Before you put it into a timeline, you need to do this. If you already have some footage in a timeline, there is a way around that, and I'll show you that in a second. Basically, if you right-click on the footage here, you can go under Modify Audio Channels, and we're going to select Mono as Stereo. And then, depending on what channel, if you record on the left channel, you can take out the right. If you record it on the right channel, take out the left. So in this case, we're taking out the right. We'll hit OK, and as you can see, it just duplicated the left channel into the right channel. So now we have basically a faux stereo. One nice thing is you can do that with multiple files. You just go ahead and select them all, and right click, do the same thing. Go through, take out the right channel, and now if I open up any of these here, you can see that they are in fact now stereo. Let's go ahead and undo that, and I can show you how you would do that if you already have some in a timeline. Let's go ahead and create a timeline here. Alright. Let's pull in some audio. Say you already have some in a timeline, and you notice that you're working only with mono and you forgot to do the previous step. Well, you can go into your effects underneath audio effects here, and underneath stereo, you'll find one called fill left and fill right. And same kind of concept applies. If you're working with something in your left channel, drag fill left onto your clip. You won't see a representation of it, but it will duplicate the left channel into the right, and vice versa here for the right. So that's helpful if you already have some audio in your timeline that you need to become stereo so you get a fuller sound. So there's basically two types of ways that I'm going to show you for syncing your audio. One is a manual way, And the other one, we're going to be using a program called Pluralize, sorry. And that program sells for $150. We're going to be using the demo. I can show you exactly how it works. Depending on what you're doing, it could be a great time saver and well worth $150. So let's go ahead and start out with doing manual sound syncing. All right, so let's get rid of this. All right, well, there's a few different ways that I do manual. One is that, say in the case of these clips here, what I'll do is create a new sequence for each clip. And you can do that in CS5 really easy by just dragging that clip onto the new item button here, and it will create a new sequence using the properties of the file you dragged onto it. So it's really nice. You don't have to create separate sequences. So it might be a little bit more tedious for you if you're using CS4. Let's see, we did 655 there. We'll do another one here. So basically what I would do is each clip I would go ahead and drag those onto a new thing, and then also match up the audio here. Oops. Where'd my 16 go? There it is. All right. So I'll go over with how I know also which audio file to use. Also, another quick tip that works great is instead of using the same layout that you use for everything else, I've actually I didn't really spend a lot of time on this one, but I create a custom layout here. You can go ahead and create a new workspace and go ahead and adjust it how you want. And I did one for audio syncing that just expands this area so that I can view the waveforms. And I usually spread these out so that I get a good view of them here. Okay. Do that here also. Let's see, we can make these a little bit bigger. We've got the room. All right, now usually I zoom in here and we can kind of see a pattern here. As far as you can kind of see, they're pretty close, but we just need to adjust it a little bit. One thing that helps when doing this is in these clips we use just a hand clap. As you can see here, up in there in the footage, you can see there's a hand clap there, syncing the audio here that we recorded separately and the audio on the camera. Of course, you need to be using the mic on the camera in order to capture audio so you can sync everything together. So those spikes really help. Then of course you got all the other wavelengths. So we're going to be syncing using the peaks and not the ramps. As you can see, the ramp, you can see it's ramping down here, and the audio doesn't. It's going to be pretty hard to sync the ramp on this because it's not showing up as much, recorded at a lower level. So just get close in the vicinity if you don't have anything too definite, and then go around and check out your other peaks to make sure they match up. And looking pretty good. Just also a quick tip, I'm holding down Alt while I use my scroll wheel to zoom in and out. Really nice and easy, especially if you got a free scrolling mouse wheel that doesn't click. Alright, so that looks pretty good, and then just mute the audio on the clip itself, and then we got this. And a way that you can start editing that once you got the clip with your audio synced is you can either go through here and get the piece that you want out of there and hit Control K to actually put a slice in there, and slice your other part that you want with another Control K, and then you can just one thing I do is I raise these. Actually, if I'm editing within a timeline, I'll raise that up just to signify that that's one clip that I want to use, and it's also easy to select them in multiple if you have multiple cuts in the same clip. And you can copy those out. Another way to do that, here's, since we have a actual sequence here, you can drag the sequence into the source viewer. And we'll just drag that in there. And then, because I like actually using the source viewer, because then I can use the keyboard to go by using the arrow keys. Shift left or right will allow you to jump 10 frames at a time and kind of scrub through the footage. Dealing with raw 5D footage here, so not the smoothest, but pretty close. And then you can use I for in for your clip, and then you can use O for out. And then you're able to actually drag it onto the timeline, get your video and audio, or just video, or just audio. So 2 ways you can do that when you manually get them up. Also, if you'd like, instead of doing a timeline per clip, you can just go ahead and once you sync one up, let's go ahead and sync this one real quick. Let's pull this. See where we got. I don't think that this one is actually, let's see here. There we go. That looks more better. It's a lot easier if you, when you're recording with your external device, that you make your stops for recording the same as what you're doing with your camera. Otherwise, everything's going to be out of sync. It's going to be a major headache, especially if you're not using a clapboard, which we'll go over right after this, to keep track of what your audio files are. So if you're going to be not using a clapboard, you want to be making sure you're shooting in sequence. So when they stop recording on the camera, you stop recording on the device, so you create a new file for each take. So let's go ahead and get these close. All right. And you're going to have to zoom in all the way a lot of times so that you can do a lot of times a 1 frame adjustment. Otherwise, if you're zoomed out too far, it'll only let you jump a couple frames at a time instead of going 1 frame. All right, so that's synced, and then if you wanted to do another one, you could just pull another file in, and then grab your audio file that corresponds with that. So you can do multiple of these in one timeline here, and then you can make your cuts in either way, like either pulling it into the source viewer here, or you can go through the timeline itself, make cuts using Control K and pulling those out and copy them into a new sequence. So whatever way you prefer.
When we come back from the break, I'll show you some simple solutions for syncing audio, like using Pluralize to automatically sync it, and a few tips about levels.
This episode is made possible in part by Manhattan LCD, the affordable solution for high-definition monitoring. Dayflow Lighting Systems, the nation's best-selling lighting solutions for photo, video, and filmmakers. CheesyCam.com, the latest gear reviews and DIY video and photo projects. JAG 35, affordable solutions for filmmakers. Rode Microphones.
Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about using a clapboard. As in the previous example, see we're using the hand clap here for a place where we can sync the audio of the external device and the audio on camera. You've seen clapboards being used before, I'm sure, quite a bit. They come in handy quite a bit because you can put a lot of information on them. Like as you can see in this scene here, we're keeping track of the audio file visually and the take. So that makes it a lot easier once I go ahead and make my cuts here. Before I make my cuts, when I go ahead and sync, adding this file to its own sequence, or adding multiple clips to a sequence to sync the audio. Once I see this, I know which audio file I need to grab to sync it with. Here's another clip from later on. I can see the same concept here. We've got the scene, the take, and the audio file that it is referring to. So that makes it a lot easier, less of a headache, because if you screw up the
when you start doing the recording with the camera and you're recording with the external device and you're synchronizing your starts and stops. If one of you forgets to do that at one point, then you're messed up from that point on, and then it's kind of a pain having to listen to each audio file and figure out which one belongs with which clip. So if you can get some, even if it's a piece of chalkboard or something, it doesn't even have to have the clapper on it. I know official ones of these can be quite expensive, but something to help you keep track of which audio file you're on would be a big help. So otherwise, syncing's the same, but that just is a great visual aid to help you. One thing that I want to also cover is while Tony and I have been doing our training, other training like our reviews or any other type of video that we do for training, came up with this technique here. I'll go ahead and pull up one of the files recorded with the HV20. I have the zoom going directly into the plugged into the HV20 here, and we just recorded it all the way through, so I didn't have to do any syncing. But one little tip that helped us a lot for making this a lot quicker in edits is on the audio file here. You'll see it's not represented too well, but once you do this for a while, you can start to see the patterns here. What we started doing was, at the beginning of each take, we would do a clap. You can see him do a clap here right at this spike. There we go. And then what I had him do is, at the end of a good take, I had him do a double clap or like a triple clap. He did it kind of fast there. If you're going to do that, I suggest that you space them apart a little bit with some more time, so you can see that from you don't have to zoom in so far to see the double clap like that, and you can see it from when you're zoomed out a little further. So what that does is I can scan through the audio waveform here and kind of get a good idea where the good clips are, the good takes for each clip, and cut those out really easy. It saves me a lot of time rather than watching the whole thing through to get my good clips. So just a little tip. Makes things a lot easier and faster. Okay, so moving on, those are the ways of manually syncing that I've come to do. Let's go ahead and look at Pluralize, which is a standalone program that works with Premiere to automatically synchronize your footage. You can do it. Here I've got, I'm not going to get into every option that you can do with Synchronize. I'm just going to show you simple here. I've got this footage already imported. I got about 10 clips here and about 10 audio files, which they should be this matching. First one starting with the first one. So how you use Pluralize, let's go ahead and create a new sequence. I'm just going to use that preset. And let's grab all of our footage here and put it on the first timeline. And let's grab our audio, and we're going to throw that right underneath that. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this. What you have to do is, if you go up to File here and Export, you have to export this as a Final Cut Pro XML. And we'll just save this right to the desktop. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we've exported all of our timelines here as XML, so you can minimize this. Close this down. Okay, let's open up Pluralize. And what we're going to do is we're going to navigate to where we saved that tutorial, the XML file. We're going to open that, and we're going to pick the sequence that we want synced. So we had put everything in sequence 8, so we want to sync that. Now I got a few different options here. Preserve the order. If say you're working with multicam footage or something similar, or just kind of what we did, I'm pretty sure that it's in chronological order, but I'm not 100%, so I'm not going to select this. But this will keep it in chronological order, and it goes a little bit faster. You can use clip markers if you have a general idea of where sync points are. You can add a clip marker, and then Pluralize can use that to know the general area where it can start syncing. and you can replace the audio of the original clips with the synced level audio. Pretty much, it'll, if you have different recording levels, your audio's all over the place, this will even it out. And try really hard. If you are having no success, this will take about 5 to 10 times longer to sync, but that'll give it more time to process, to try to figure out if you have some audio that isn't so great, and it can try to sync it for you. So I'm not going to select any of these. We're just going to let it run normally. We're going to go ahead and click sync, and it's going to go ahead and make a bunch of sync temp wave files here. I'm going to go ahead and pause this and come back when this is done. Shouldn't take too long. Okay, so it's finished here. Didn't take too long. The more clips you do, of course, the longer it'll take. So instead of trying to sync everything all at once, like if you have 100 clips, it's probably best to do it by scene. This is where the output file was saved. It's pretty much going to be in the same place that your original XML file was saved in. So let's go back into Premiere, and what we're going to do is import that file. So let's go to our desktop here and import the synced tutorial. And it's just going to take a second. Alright, you can see it created a whole new folder here and basically copied everything that was in my project. And we've got the sequence 8 synced here. So let's open that up. And here we can see it added all those temp files here, those wave files, but let's see, we only need, let's see how good of a job it did here. Let's turn these off. Well, now I don't have sound going on this because I'm only able to record this input, the mic, right now. But I have tested it out before, and it does work very well. As you can see here, as I didn't have each clip lined up, or each clip, this clip doesn't match this one, so it doesn't match, it doesn't sync them up. So that is a nice thing. If you don't have to have all matching audio files and video files, you could just drop what you have into the timeline, sync it, and just sort it out later. So that is great. It can save you a lot of time for $150 if you're going to be doing a lot of shooting, and it's going to be a great headache saver. So I definitely recommend it. You can check out their website. If you just Google Pluralize, you'll be able to find it. They have also go into more depth on some of the features of the program. So I also want to talk to you about your levels for audio. Basically, it starts when you're recording. Just a few guidelines to go with that. You don't basically where to set where you want your range to be for peaks and where your mid level is. Because if you peak, you don't want to be clipping and distorting your sound. It'll be terrible, and it's, especially if you're working professionally with a client, having to reshoot because of audio problems or video problems, they can get annoyed with that real fast. When recording with an external device like the Zoom H4n or even on camera, I try to keep my peak right around -6 decibels. I don't want to really go over that. I want to be able to have enough headroom. You can go up to -3, but I try to keep it around there so that in case something really gets loud, then I'm not worried about it clipping and overdriving the audio. And the mid-level, usually right around -18, somewhere around there. Especially if you got a fairly clean audio source, like you have a decent mic and your recorder. The Zoom is a pretty decent recorder, and pretty low. It doesn't add too much noise to the audio track. Stays pretty clean. So I would set your audio levels around there while you're recording, so you don't run into problems in post. When you're outputting the levels, like for the web, I try to keep the peak below 0. So, because depending on the devices the amount of devices that you're playing on vary, especially with laptops or even smaller devices, like the iPod Touch or something. give them ability to be able to crank it so they can hear it, because sometimes they can't get too much power for the speakers to get the volume up. And so try to keep the peak just below 0 decibels right at the top here, as you can see. Also, try to keep the mid-level between -6 and -12, so somewhere in there. So also, if you're going to be doing any commercials or anything that's going to be for broadcast, you want to try to keep your it varies depending on the station, so you always want to go and get the requirements from the station. But commonly you can think of adjusting it so that your peaks don't go above. Your peak is set at -6. You don't want to go above -6, and that your mid-level is about -18. That's, you want to get the requirements by the station, though, so you can be, a lot of them are going to require that you transfer your video over to into digital tape or to analog tape, and then you're going to be using a reference tone. It's like a 1 kilohertz tone at the beginning and end of your tape, and that's usually set at -20 decibels for analog. So there'd be a difference between analog and digital. Sometimes there'd be a little difference with the audio levels. Like about -20 analog can translate to -18 digital. I've seen before. I haven't done a whole lot myself with broadcast, mainly web, but those are some general guidelines. Like I said, you want to check with your broadcasting station to get the details of working with the audio.
Oh, we hope that that's helped you guys understand how to work with audio in post better. And I hope that all of this entire series has helped you learn how to use HDSLRs. Basically, the intent of this series was to help you understand the basic workflow, pick up an HDSLR, know how to shoot it. Obviously, we haven't gone into technique very much. Technique is a totally different beast. How to light properly, proper sound placement, proper composition, all sorts of different things. There's tons of different things that you can do, and that's what we want to cover in our other episodes and our other series. So be sure to check us out on YouTube and subscribe. We're at youtube.com/nextwaveg. You can subscribe there. You can check out our other resources on our website, nextwavedv.com. Where we have tons of great stuff. We have articles that we write. We blog about some of the latest stuff in digital video. And then, of course, our product section of our website. We want to provide for you guys some really affordable options for making great videos. So stuff like we have our NextWave tracks where you can get affordable royalty-free music. It's just a really great option, and some of the best stuff out there. It is actually professionally scored by a professional filmmaker. So check that out, and we're going to continue to add more resources as we go, as we have time. So we appreciate that. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can check out our entire HDSLR 101 series on our product section too. If you just go to nextwavedv.com, click on the products, you can find all of our products at the Nextwave DV store. But the entire HDSLR 101 series is available for $20. Now, if you've already seen it all on YouTube, we do have a bonus episode that's only available for the online purchase. But if you still want to support our site and make more of these resources available, you can still buy the entire series for $20, and we do appreciate that because you guys are what help us continue these resources available. So, thanks for watching, and be sure to check out our other great resources out there. And on behalf of all of us at Nextwave DV, have a great day.